Alright, the USMNT. Where do we start? Back then, soccer was America's new gold rush until it was buried by financial problems. Despite spending that much for big players, finding attendance was tough for NASL. Income was dwindling, and their last-ditch attempt to host the World Cup in '86 failed to garner any traction, thus marking the death of NASL, and soccer practically closed its gates. For now. It's a bit weird that FIFA let the '94 World Cup to be hosted by a nation who doesn't even have a professional football league. Hell, football is not even the most popular football in America. But boy, what they lack in the system, they went all out in passion. The very first season of MLS in '96 seems like the rebirth of soccer in America. Yeah, up until they tried to Americanize the sport. Not only they can't bring more Americans to watch, but also at the same time they managed to alienate traditional football fans. What a maneuver! Years later, and MLS is still stuck down there, and the billion-dollar question remains: why?
Why? Here's why.
Compared to the other four major sports, soccer is the only sport where America is not the powerhouse of the game. Yes, I know the women's team pretty much murders everyone, but when they were busy talking about equal pay, the USMNT were still stuck in 2017.
You're going to continue to be a bunch of soft, underperforming, tattooed millionaires? You are a soccer generation that has been given everything. You are a soccer generation who is on the verge of squandering everything.
And if we don't change it, and I mean we, everyone in US soccer, then what are we doing? What's the point? Because that should have never happened.
Considering that they always hyped up their young golden generation too, their Olympics record was not that good either. The under-23 stinks, and recently they lost to Honduras. They tried to play it off by saying they are focused on the World Cup qualifiers, but that is their third time straight missing the Olympics altogether. So simple problem, right? If you don't win, you won't receive full support. So basically, fix their international record. But how? Winning the 2014 World Cup was a byproduct of Germany's youth development and their 10-year plan. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my manifesto. Between DP making big plays and this weird guy off the field,
Fight and win! Fight and win!
MLS doesn't really put much ass on the seats. But why home ground? Well, the Super Draft stinks. I found this person from Reddit who compiled the stats from 2020 Super Draft, so no wonder they decided to trim the rounds. Also, by rewarding the worst team in the league, a 21 years old college kid leaves you with another list of trouble. Another article noted that college sucks for young soccer talents. If you play for USL team, cool, but college soccer is such a huge mess, and you basically lost at least 4 years of professional development. Young Americans goes overseas to find playing time in Germany, Belgium or Denmark, and they work out pretty well, so I'll leave the draft alone. With that in mind, we need a team. After a very epic giveaway, I'm using Football Manager 20 database, which means there's no Austin, with Nashville and Miami as the expansion franchise options. There are some slightly older expansion teams still in the dirt like Cincy and Orlando, several traditional teams that are trying to topple their sister franchises in other sports, and there is this cursed team. But why not combine it as one? An expansion team that was old enough to be considered traditional and still dragged behind every single franchise of their city. Chicago Fire. After joining the MLS in 1998 and winning the MLS Cup in the same year, everything went downhill from there. They sucked, especially if we compare them to the other sports team from Chicago. Hell, they are not even the most famous Chicago Fire out there. In the past 5 years, they have won back-to-back Wooden Spoon Awards, left their fancy stadium to return to Soldier Field, new ownership, new logo, and they fired everyone to hire the Switzerland duo as the GM and head coach. And to cap it off is this video from Schweinsteiger's introduction.
With your addition to this team, is it a fair expectation to see a clear pathway towards a World Cup competition come out of Chicago?
He's referring to the World Club Cup. Like, he's referring to the World Cup. Yeah, the World Club Cup. He's just saying.
Let me rephrase. Do you expect now that you're here, Bastian, that World Cup goal for Chicago Fire is a realistic expectation?
So the World Cup.
Well, not the World Cup. We as a club don't play for the World Cup, but we'll adjust it to MLS Cup.
Yes.
Do you think MLS Cup is a realistic expectation?
Absolutely bonkers. So sorry pal, I'm sure you're a great dude, but let's bring some energy to this town, eh? Let's put me into the game, because the last time an Indonesian went to the MLS, it went so well. Oh boy. Formation wise, I need to look back on former USMNT greats. Legends like Donovan and Dempsey played behind strikers like McBride or Mr. Titty Squeeze over here. Sadly, there are not many current forwards with good shooting ability. Also, historically, they has major attacking threats from wingbacks. But not only that, in the middle of their defense, they had people like Alexi Lalas, Jeff Eges, Carlos Bocanegra, Eddie Pope, Marcelo Balboa, Jimmy Conrad.
Mexicana, marca también Fonseca, marca Márquez. En realidad marcan todos excepto el Bofo. Viene Landon, cobra, arriba el remate de cabeza, golazo. ¡Gol! 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 ¡Golazo! Saltó más que todos, más que nadie, más que nunca.
But recently, their starting options are thinning. Aside from Brooks, Long, or Zimmerman, they are either too young, too old, or too busy playing Bop It with a different set of balls. With that in mind, I'm going to implement this person's 3-4-1-2 and push the white midfielder behind to make it 5-2-1-2. And I will tweak the player instructions a bit, so thanks to you good sir for your service. With all of that sorted out, I'm gonna make some restrictions with this series. I want this thing to be as short as I can, so I will focus mostly on USMNT. Also, hopefully we could go through the entirety of this thing without Gio Reyna and Yunus Musa, because this database practically locked them out from the get-go. And the last rule is the cardinal sin of Football Manager. Never ever think about scum saving, just no. The MLS is always tough to use in every iteration of Football Manager. And this is gonna be a 10-year save. I don't wanna take forever to finish this game. It's a 10-year save for crying out loud, screw that. With that being said, see you on the next episode where we will take on the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Qatar. That nation. Yeah.